All right, thank you. We are going to call the Ways and Means Committee meeting to order at 4 p.m. Let the record reflect that all committee members are present. That brings us to our meeting minutes for December 17th. May I have a motion for the December 17th minutes?
Yeah, I was there. I'll move to actually.
All right, we have a motion on the floor. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
One more. I move to approve. Sorry.
Moved, yep.
Yeah.
We have a motion on the floor. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Opposed? Passes. All right. Do we have any public comment online or anything? Or public comment? All right. If anyone joins, we'll give them the floor at that designated time. So that brings us to discussion item B, the resolution for the grant acceptance, Michigan Drug Court grant for treatment testing and supplies. And then we also have, following that, the resolution C for the grant acceptance for Michigan Sobriety Court grant for treatment testing and supplies. And we have Ms. Anithia here to speak to both. We'll start with the first resolution B for the drug grant program.
Okay, thank you. Happy New Year, everyone. I'm Anithia Brewer, your court administrator, and joining me this afternoon is Brianna Koschmeider. She's our chief probation officer, as well as Susan Nealing, our deputy court administrator. Judge Simmons, Kristen Simmons, was going to attend with us, but she was pulled into a meeting a few minutes ago, and I told her, I think I got this. So we will start with something brand new. In my 18 years of being here and coming before Ways and Means, we've always come with one specialty court grant that we've had now 20 plus years. Well, this time we're coming with a new one, something that we've been thinking about now for several years. And I'd like to just give you a little background. First, I want to apologize because the last time I've said we would not be this late bringing our grants to Ways and Means, but we do have a good excuses this time. First, with the government shutdown, all of courts across the state were put on a notice that, it'd be some time before they figured out whether or not we would even get funding. Second, my GPO just returned, had her first baby from maternity leave right before Christmas. So we have a new member of our family. And finally, also, I'm sure you all know that Judge Simmons experienced some medical issues with her family and had to travel back and forth. And so we wanted to really get our plan together before we came to explain what was going on. So just to give you a little background, in Ingham County, there are a number of specialty courts that are used by all citizens of the county between 54A, 54B, and 55th District Court, as well as 30th Circuit. 54A has always had a very successful OWI felony sobriety court. That's been our specialty. Still one of the top courts in our state as far as operating and the success rate we have with it. The thing that we noticed, and it's been a few years coming now, is that some of the other specialty courts that are around the county, we are having, and I say we, the city of Lansing, our jurisdiction, are having a hard time getting our residents into those courts. And that is because of capacity. So of course they are taking cases and defendants that are in their jurisdiction before they take in transfer cases. So I kind of want to give you all that background. And we've come to the conclusion that we have a major need for our own drug court right here in the city of Lansing for our residents. So the whole purpose of us going after an additional grant was to get funds so that we can start this. So if I'll be honest with you all, they actually offered us some funds last fiscal year. But we knew it was not enough to start a program and make it viable for everyone that was going to participate and put their time in. So we sat down with the Ingham County Prosecutor's Office, our Public Defender's Office, our City of Lansing Law Office, and we said, okay, if we figure out a way to do this, and we figure out a way to do this in-house without causing major expenses, will you all please, and here she is, Judge Simmons did make it, will you all please support and participate and assist us with this process? So the prosecutor's office with making recommendations or agreeing to people with plea deals for those they think that are worth it. Our public defender's office for representing them, and our city attorney's office for supporting the program. With that said, we were able to look in-house within our own resources. so our probation department, to determine that we could come up with a specialized docket and have supervision within the court without asking for additional personnel to make this. Judge Simmons also was our judge that stepped up to the plate that said, okay, I'm willing to supervise and be the keeper of this program and get us started here in the city of Lansing. So we actually applied for more monies than we received, but we figured that we could work with what we received because we know the biggest component or the most important piece is to be able to provide the resources and the treatment that's needed for our citizens. So what we're going to do is we're going to designate a probation officer that's going to handle this specialized docket. But Simmons is going to handle the cases on her docket. We're going to use that $30,000 that was allocated to us for treatment and services. So $18,000 will be allocated just for drug and alcohol testing. That's going to be a big component of the program. We will then allocate $11,130. That's more of the counseling for those who may need more intense supervision and weekly counseling. Well, that will go towards those services. And then last but not least, $870 will be spent for supplies. And typically that means backpacks, notebooks, journals that the judge will require them to do with the specific pieces or components of the program. So this is new. We're already into the budget cycle. We are really just sitting down and getting into how we're going to get this moving. We do not have to reinvent the wheel. And so what I've actually brought for all of you is something that we put together along with the other specialty courts in Ingham County last year. It's a research booklet of all of the specialty court programs, what judges run them, and how it works in Ingham County. So in the future, we will have to add our new drug court. We plan to start out small. So I am anticipating, and listen to me talking about what the judge will do, that hopefully by the end of the year that we will have 20 full-time participating members that will get us started. And as we move along through the years, our goal is to have a program that's going to be large enough. And of course, we're going to our new facility. We're going to have the space to really accommodate what we need to do in the future, and hopefully this to be a bigger thing that what we really need here in Lansing. Did I do pretty good? Did I do pretty good? Judge, do you want to add anything?
No, I think you did an excellent job echoing what the plan or the intent of this drug court is for. Obviously, I think everyone at the table understands the need that we have. If you speak to our criminal justice partners, they can even echo the concerns about the fact that in the county, and you can see in the paperwork, we're the one that has the largest need, but we're not providing the resource. And there was a point where we were transferring a lot of our cases to other courts in the county to see if they can handle our courts in their drug court, and they had to stop taking them because of the capacity. But it's really our need, and it's time that our court steps up and starts to address it. So I'm looking forward to being able to provide that resource. And I know that once we get into the new building, it really will provide us an opportunity to look and see how we can adjust to develop the program even further.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for taking the lead on this initiative. It's definitely something that has been a gap. And I believe, Anithia, I think you brought this to.
It's going to focus on rehabilitation rather than being punitive, and how you've thought about some of those issues.
Exactly what you're saying is to avoid being punitive. Of course, you have to hold that piece or that element over their heads to keep them motivated and compliant. And I think that was an issue that was brought to us by one of the LPD sergeants, or the concern about how do we keep, people involved in the specialty court motivated, because sometimes, especially when you have people who are dealing with heavy convictions, and I think our probation manager can even share that, that a lot of times people will say, you know what, because of the addiction, they'll just take jail time if they think it's a short amount of time, so they can get it over with and get back to whatever their regularly scheduled business is. So the goal is to rehabilitate so that we don't keep the revolving door, that we can treat the underlying issue and then hopefully provide or align them with resources that helps them to sustain beyond this. So it's looking long term. These programs have been extremely successful in the other courts. I mean, if you look at the sobriety courts and the drug court and both 54B and 55th, like overwhelming the amount of success that's happening in there. And even in our sobriety court, we're having really great success. So this just will address the drug-related issue, similarly to how we're handling our sobriety court.
I also have another question. So, in my professional life, I'm a researcher, and I've done some work with courts previously. And I was wondering if you have a plan to collect data and keep data for evaluation purposes.
Yeah, so SCAO actually does a lot of that, which it does rely on the assigned probation officer for drug court to input that data, but they do have a drug court case management system where everything is tracked, like so much. And yeah, as far as like sanctions, incentives, it's jail time, they track all of that. You know, how many like AA or NA meetings they've attended, treatment hours, any community service they've done, like everything is.
I mean, it might say to us and to y'all that maybe we can budget a little bit of money to do a actual thorough evaluation of the program to make sure that it is meeting the goals that we.
Scales does a thorough evaluation. This is State Court Administrative Office. There's no more thorough, I think, than what they can provide because they actually have the resource to do that. So, and I believe that their data is available to the public if it's something that you wanted to review.
We do have regular in-house audits where they come in, they observe, they go through records, things of that nature. So we respond to that pretty well.
And then I know you mentioned that there won't be an additional personnel needed. So moving long term, there's no additional needs for any other budget beyond this grant.
Not at this point in time, not at all.
Any other questions from the committee? All right, well, I will entertain a motion.
I would move the resolution.
All right, motion on the floor. Any further discussions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, passes. We'll move on to item number C, or letter C for discussion. Which I know you captured some kind of complexly.
Yes, yes. So our very nice and experienced sobriety court has been going on for about 20 years here. And I think this State Court Administrator's Office realized the success of the program and they continue to fund it. And so Brianna here is actually she screens, she is the oversight probation officer, and she oversees everything about the sobriety court program. And so I'll let her provide you with some of the stats that we typically come with.
Thank you, Anithia. So currently in sobriety court, we have 14 active participants. In this past fiscal year 25, we had 10 new participants admitted. We had 13 discharged. 10 of those were successfully completed and 3 were terminated unsuccessfully. Since the program started in 2005, we've had a total of 271 admissions and we've had 207 discharges. Of those, 171 were successful, so that gives us a 66% successful completion rate. And then I'll mention that we did just have our 42nd graduation ceremony earlier this month, where we had 5 successful graduates. And then as far as our budget for this current fiscal year, SCAO has awarded $26,947. We've budgeted $26,750 to go towards contractual services. So more specifically, $12,000 is set aside for substance use treatment, which can be outpatient counseling, meeting with a peer recovery coach, moral organization therapy, or completing their risk assessment, which is required by the state. $12,000 is set aside for alcohol and drug testing. $2,000 for electronic monitoring. That could be like an alcohol scram tether. And then $750 for ignition interlock services. That's like the breathalyzer installed in the vehicle for once they get their restricted license. And then we have $197 set aside for graduation supplies. We usually try to decorate a little bit at the graduation ceremonies, provide some refreshments. We like to give the graduates a framed certificate and a card signed by the team.
Thank you.
Just a moment, I want to share because we have new members on the board. Will you explain that the process being 2 years and how intense it is real quick?
Yeah.
So they understand.
Yes, so it's a 2-year long program and it's broken down into different phases that the participants work through. And it starts out very intense, high supervision. They meet with me weekly. They see the judge bi-weekly. They're typically doing intensive outpatient treatment. Some participants, I mean, it depends on their substance use assessment, but some might start out with residential treatment, just depends on their needs. And yeah, there's just different things that we require in each phase. And there's also different perks to the program. So once they're in phase 2, they may be eligible for their sobriety court restricted license, which is when they would get that ignition interlock installed in a vehicle. That can be very helpful for our participants so they can go drive themselves to their alcohol or drug testing or their AA meetings or treatment or work, because transportation is a big barrier for a lot of our participants when they first start. And then another huge perk to our program is once they hit that 1-year mark in the program. Well, I guess I should have said first, all of our participants, in order to enter our program, have to be charged with a felony OWI third offense. So they start out with that felony and it's actually under a delayed sentence. So once they hit the 1-year mark in our program, if everything's looking good, they receive a charge reduction to a misdemeanor OWI second. So that's really huge with our program and pretty unique. And then, yeah, after that 1 year, they're kind of in the final phase. We call it year 2 of the program, where the supervision is pretty limited because we're trying to prepare them to continue their recovery journey for once they're no longer under the court supervision.
Thank you, Brianna. Is the trend with the success rate, is that typically on the higher scale for this sobriety?
Yeah, I think it's the success rate is getting better each year because the state is really like providing us better training and yeah, I guess just better guidance on different ways to help our participants. So I really think the success rate is getting better. Like last year, the success rate was 65%, now it's 66%. So I think it is getting better each year.
Any other questions from the committee?
Do you know what risk assessment we use?
So we use the ORAS, the Ohio Risk Assessment.
You know if it's been validated?
That one has, yes.
Other questions? All right, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
All right, you have a motion on the floor. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Opposed, passes. Thank you.
We'll keep you updated
Yes, please do.
on our progress.
We have our next discussion item, D, the resolution of the Grant Acceptance National Recreation and Parks Association, Inc. for training through the Positive Coaching Alliance. And we have Emily here to speak on this grant. The floor is yours.
Thank you. So this grant, it's not a whole lot of money, but it's access to training for, yeah, so it's, I think, $2,500, but, it's, the goal is, through Positive Coaching Alliance, they have all online training. And so the goal is to connect our volunteer coaches as well as our staff, working with after school and summer camp programs, to have them go through this online training to give them the tools for social emotional learning, and kind of making sure that we're focusing on the positive impacts that youth sports can have if you're approaching it the right way. And so we're excited about that, excited about getting everyone kind of in there and trained. The $2,500 is just kind of incentives to complete the training. So we haven't lined it up specifically, but we're thinking like, okay, the coaches, if they complete so much, they get a coach's shirt. They, so we'll do some little incentives like that, try to recognize them publicly as something, you know, they're trained, they're official, and celebrating that. So yeah, we're just excited to have this full training that we can do it, and excited to have a little money to incentivize it a little bit.
Thank you. And I see the grant cycles it's every 6 months. Oh,
Yep. So this is just, it's a real quick, hopefully we can get people trained, and then because we're turning everything in July. So yeah, so the goal is to do, and so it's good timing for us because we've got soccer coming up, which is always big, and we've got summer camp coming up, which is large too. So we're excited.
Can you put the spectators through this program?
yes, that's a great question.
Yeah.
Yes,
I think that.
As a parent.
We all.
yes. It is interesting how every person is like, what? And then they let their own child play sports, and then all of a sudden your emotions are a little different. So yeah, we hopefully a lot of our coaches are parents. So hopefully if we keep it up, we can get them all through it.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
All right, motion on the floor. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Opposed, passes. Thank you, Emily. All right, up next, we have items E and F. So the resolution for the grant application, State Historic Preservation Office, Certified Local Government Grant Program for West Side Neighborhood Survey to assess the appropriateness of a historic district. And then we'll go on to the next one. We have Andy Pierre.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. The floor is yours.
Thank you. So as just a little bit of a background, the Certified Local Government Program is administered by the Michigan State Historic Preservation Office. Their main guiding principle, I guess, is to partner with governments, obviously, to protect, plan, and tell the story of important historic places. Every year, they administer a grant on behalf of the National Park Service, so they can be used for actual rehabilitation projects where they actually improve a building that's on a register, or there's planning exercises, such as doing a survey, or doing nomination reports, or they can be kind of training and educational projects. We have been a CLG since 1997, and our last grant was in 2007 to survey and nominate the downtown historic district to the National Register. So actually, the SHPO folks have been bugging me for the last few years about finding a project that we could apply for, since it's been so long since we've had one. For the last few years, a thing that has been bouncing around is surveying the West Side neighborhood. The West Side neighborhood was last surveyed in 1986, and the report is still in our possession, but the things that go along with that, such as pictures of the individual properties, have been, I guess, lost to time and successive state governments. So this would offer us a chance to kind of do that. And well, I mean, so much has changed in the last 40 years as well. We have been kicking around this idea for the last 3 years. Our original plan was to do 3 sections of the neighborhood, from Verlinden to MLK and from Michigan to Saginaw. In total, that would be just over 507 properties. But the quotes that we got back for that project were a little bit more than we could spend. So we decided to break that up into 3 sections based on historic plats. Going from input from one of our HDC members, who is Historic District Commission members, who is a historian. He suggested that we start with the Espinor, and that is the northwest section of those 3 plats. And I believe we can kind of get that project done before under $20,000. The grant is reimbursement based, so even though the city will, if awarded and approved, will expend the money up front, we will be reimbursed once the project is finalized. So that's a big draw of the program as well, is that we don't have to use general fund monies that we don't recuperate.
That work project is it?
Pardon?
Don't worry about it.
Thank you.
We can also offer staff hours in kind, so that does make a proposal a bit more attractive. So we can help with small stuff like taking pictures and stuff like that we're kind of trained on.
Thank you. With this survey, is it just for data gathering efforts for the rehab plan, nomination reports, education. So it's just reporting at the site.
Yeah, essentially, there's two kind of levels of surveys. One is reconnaissance and one is intensive. This would be a reconnaissance survey. So it's a little bit less work. It's not as detailed, but it paints a picture of where the neighborhood is today and what kind of, what structures are contributing to a future historic district if we ever apply for that, either locally or federally. But it doesn't get down into the nitty gritty of all the architecture of each individual property, which definitely balloons that contractor cost.
You know, what's the anticipated timeline for this?
I believe, I'm sorry, they would be awarding this spring, and then it would be finalized, the contract would be finalized this summer. We would be expected to find a contractor also in the summer, maybe late summer. And just way the fiscal year works out, we would anticipate finishing that within the fiscal year. So it wouldn't drag beyond numerous years.
Questions from the committee?
The contractor is for survey takers, right? Is that-
Part of the, sorry, I was gonna say part of the CLG program or grant mandates that we get a qualified contractor to do the work.
You have a map aerial view or something that you could share? Not right now, just.
Yeah. We have a lot of maps, plat maps.
Yeah, I'm just curious about,
that is-
I can picture it, but I've never heard the term Esplanade plat before.
Me neither. Like, so that geographic area, that would be helpful. Thank you for the question.
Yes, I'd be happy to provide those.
Thank you. All right. All right, seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, passes. All right, moving on to resolution F, that's the grant application for the State Historic Preservation Office Certified Local Government Grant Program to create contemporary design guidelines for Old Town.
So, attractive thing about this grant is that we can apply for more than one. We can get a park organization or we can get for our own. About a month ago or so, the Old Town Commercial Association approached us about applying on their behalf to update their design guidelines. These were done in 1999 by a local architect. So they're a little dated. You know, construction has changed a lot in the last 25 years. But also when it was finalized in 1999, it kind of sat on the shelf. They're not used, they're not referenced. And now with there's a changeover in ownership of Old Town buildings, but there is also new development pressures. There's 2 proposed apartment buildings coming online hopefully soon. So Old Town has been a little bit, I won't say worried, but maybe concerned that the historic integrity and the historic preservation of Old Town buildings is maintained going into the future. So this will be the first step of that. It's doing updated design guidelines. And then they're also, this is down in the future, but they're also considering what zoning changes might be kind of tied to those design guidelines to make sure that they're enforceable, not just best practices.
Questions from the committee?
How did you say 1986?
95.
How did the
99, excuse me.
the 99 guidelines influence zoning? Did you have any idea? Did we make changes?
They don't influence zoning whatsoever.
Oh, you say that we could update zoning to?
Yeah, so one thing that we could explore is an overlay district, that we could attach those design guidelines to the zoning ordinance. So when someone's doing a project, or doing a change of, well, not change of use, but yeah, a new project or facade work that requires a building permit that is approved by zoning, those building permits, they would have to go through those, make sure that it complies with zoning rules of
But in
the overlay.
1999, we didn't use those studies to update our zoning requirements or put an overlay district in Old Town.
To be honest, I didn't know the 1999 design guidelines
Okay.
existed when we did the.
It stays on the shelf now.
That answers my question.
With the updated design, will it restrict any future development or like any potential land use or anything like that?
If it's not tied to zoning ordinance, no, they would just be best practices and something for OCTA to reference when talking to a new developer. I know one of the developers who applied for the new apartment on Turner, they did go to the commercial association and the neighborhood to kind of say their project and what they were envisioning. if they had the design guidelines in place, that would be something to point developers to of like, we'd love to have you in Old Town, but we have a certain vision of what architecture looks like here, but there would be no requirement for them to follow that.
Thank you. Any other questions from the committee? All right, entertain a motion. We have a motion on the floor. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Opposed, passes. Thank you, Andy.
Thank you.
Here
And
is, if there is no other business before the body, we are adjourned at 4:30. Thank you.
yeah,
Sure.
I like your hair, Andy. Did you do something different?